Welcome to the Inspiration Station hosted by Joshua Lenox, the place to fill up your tank if you're in need of encouragement and motivation.
Hey, everybody. Y'all already know this is the Inspiration Station here with Joshua Lenox. And what do we do, y'all? We upsize in 2025 all day, every day. Y'all, welcome. It is the last Friday in May. Can y'all believe it, y'all? This is what, May the 30th? I know y'all are getting tired of me, and I'm gonna say I don't care because I know you love me anyway, but the time is just flying by, y'all. We really got to maximize our time and love on one another, do all that we're supposed to do, give it 100%, even when we're not at 100%. But y'all, welcome to the Inspiration Station. I'm so glad that all of you all are coming in. Shout out to all of you on Facebook Live, on YouTube Live, Instagram Live, LinkedIn Live. What else we got? And later on, see, did I say YouTube Live? I think I did. I think I covered that, but it doesn't hurt to say that twice. But also shout out to those on Spotify who will be hearing this later, on Apple, on what else we got, y'all? Amazon, Audible. I think that's it. But anyway, anyhow, please let me know as you all are coming in here on whatever platform that you're on, that you're coming in and letting me know how your day is, how things are going so far. And I mean, how has this week been? Actually, even how has this month been great to you? How has this month been great to you? It has come and gone, and we're marching right on into June. June 1st is Sunday. June 1st is Sunday, y'all. It's amazing how time goes by, especially when you're being, I like to say, productively busy. Sometimes you say, I'm busy, I'm busy. It's like you can be busy doing absolutely nothing. But productively busy means that I am maximizing every amount of my time. I'm getting things done. I'm prioritizing things well. I'm organizing things well. And I'm just living my life to the fullest. Jill Scott said, and living my life like it's golden. Yeah, Jill Scott. Yeah, I don't know nothing about that. But anyway, I'm not going to be before you guys too long because this is a special edition of the Inspiration Station on today, y'all. It's going to be a little different. But how many of you all like to do things different? You don't always want to do things the exact same. They can be a little dull and boring and a little bit too predictable, even though predictability has its benefits in several different ways. But it's always good to be open to try new things and experiment with new things. And that's what we're doing here on the Inspiration Station. So, as many of you are coming in right now, y'all already know how we do. I just want to let you all know I really appreciate you and all the shares that are out there. I mean, the shares are going up, y'all. And then when you're starting with something in the beginnings of things, the Bible says, despise not small beginnings. But at the same time, you don't have to look at anything. Anything small actually is already big. Y'all will catch that on the way home. But like I always say, every small step is a big step. You don't always have to take huge leaps or do huge things immediately for things to be significant. It's the significance is each step, even if it's a baby step that you're taking. So I want to welcome all of you new people that are going to be watching, whether, I'm going to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all around the world, wherever you are watching from, and whenever you watch this or whenever you hear this. I want to welcome you to the Inspiration Station. If this is your first time, but you're actually not a visitor because now you're family. So, and for all of you who continue to watch and continuing to support, I want to just say I really appreciate you all. I know that you're getting, I'm not going to say I hope you're getting some things from these episodes. I know you are. And I'm loving the feedback. It's very encouraging. And again, we're all in this together. This is not just a Joshua Lennox thing. This is for all of us and all the other people who are will hear this as we continue to build this further and further and get excited about what's to come, not just in the Inspiration Station, but what's going to come in your life. So let's get started, y'all. You want to get started? I mean, if you say yes or no, it doesn't really matter because we're going to do it anyway. But y'all know I love you. You know I got to tease. You know I got to. It's okay to laugh. It really is. Sometimes we deal with so much in our lives, we forget to just smile and laugh. You deal with challenges and obstacles and you keep overcoming those things, but it's okay sometimes to just chuckle, even laugh at yourself. So, what is the Inspiration Station, y'all? Y'all tell me. I'm tired of saying it. Okay, you twisted my arm. I guess I'll say it. You leave me no choice. But the Inspiration Station is just a nickname that I acquired as someone gave me, actually. And they said that they felt like I was a radio station. This is back in 2012. They felt that I was a radio station that had frequencies that I send out, which were like encouraging messages that people needed to hear, people needed to see. And I thought it was very flattering and I really appreciated it. I admired the person for sharing that with me, put it in the back pocket, and didn't think it was going to come to the surface and be of good use until this year. So here we are, the Inspiration Station. The Inspiration Station is not just Joshua Lennox and his life and him inspiring you. No, you're an inspiration. You're an inspiration to several people that any person who comes across your path, they're being inspired by you, whether you know it or not, whether you give yourself credit or not. I'm telling you, this is what's happening, okay? And you just cannot argue me down. Please don't try to debate me. You're going to lose. But anyway, also, the Inspiration Station is a reflection of who you are as an inspiration to yourself. You look back over your life, there's several things you can pull from, several components to actually show you inspire yourself and you continue to do so. And you can continue to do so as you reach back at those moments. And it could just be yesterday, it could have been just an hour ago. So, what do we do here? You know, on the Inspiration Station, y'all know how we do it. This is a place where we want to, excuse me, y'all, the sinuses, the temperatures have just gone up and down, and it's very disrespectful. But anyway, Inspiration Station, we're back. What do we do here? We're about being open, honest, and vulnerable, not just with others, but also with ourselves. What can you expect on here? There are going to be people on here, as you all have already seen, that are going to be interviewed where they're going to come and show their lives, whether they're people that you've never even heard their name before or people that you've admired from afar, that have influenced you, that have been person that you followed for years, or people that really encourage you, motivate you, people who make you want to do better and be better, even if they're celebrities. You just never know who's going to be on the Inspiration Station, so you have to keep your eyes open. And you know what? Let me say this. My best friend told me recently, she said, you've always seen everyone as a superstar. And you know what? She's right. Everyone is a superstar to me. I don't care your status. I don't care your platform. I don't care if you're a major celebrity. I don't care if you're a person who is homeless on the street. You are a superstar to me. I always see that star quality in anybody and everybody, no matter who they are, where they are at all, because we all are superstars. It's just about how you want to see yourself. But that's something that's always been in me since I was a kid. I see everyone as major. I don't care if you had a bread twist, excuse me, a bread twist certificate that you got. I'm going to celebrate it. I'm going to think that's major to me. Also, you know what? I remember hearing a woman, not hearing, but a woman telling me when I was younger, she said, you know what? You could motivate somebody to go from the talent show, a local talent show, to the Grammy stage. And I was just smiling like, all right. I didn't understand what that meant, the context of that at all. I was just like, she's just being nice. I'm just going to smile and say, thank you, ma'am. But now I get it. Sometimes you all are probably operating in things that you are not aware of, that you really, how you motivate and encourage and inspire others. So just be mindful of that. But we're going to keep moving. But today, you all know we've been celebrating Mental Health Awareness Month all May, which again, I hope that you have been impacted by the episodes we've had all month, especially with our two amazing guests, Toni Kelly and then Monique Rendles. Today is going to even be greater, but you know what? It's going to be something different. Somebody say, excuse me, somebody say it's different. It's different today. What we're going to look at today is going to be a wonderful clip. It's going to be about 22 minutes. Going to be off camera. I want you to see something that I was privileged to be a part of. It's called Mental Health Mondays at my home church, Mount Zion, here in Nashville, Tennessee, under the wonderful tutelage and leadership of Bishop Joseph Walker III. I love my pastor. He's amazing. Shout out to you, Bishop. Love you much. But this was headed up by none other than Pastor Catina Parish-Clark. Love her so much. She is amazing, amazing. She's a pastor over congregational care. She does so many other things, and she's just such a light. And I was so thankful that she allowed me to be a part of this. What this episode that I was a part of is called From Hesitation to Healing. Beginning therapy with ease. I'll say that again. From hesitation to healing, beginning therapy with ease. Sometimes, people want to get into counseling and they're just not sure where to start or what that's going to look like. So I was a part of this early in April, and it just actually aired on, let's see, what was that? The last Monday of May. So this would have been this past Monday, y'all. So I believe that that was the 26th. See, I can do a little bit because now we're on the 30th. So 5 plus 6 is 5 plus. Okay. But y'all know it was on the 26th, I promise. And today is the 30th. Don't judge me. I feel y'all. But without further ado, Pastor Catina Parish-Clark, she facilitates an intriguing dialogue between myself, Nicosia Jones, and Toni Kelly. Y'all remember her. You remember Toni, right? 2 episodes ago, wasn't that long. She was right here on the Inspiration Station with us. So without further ado, I introduce to you Mental Health Monday, from hesitation to healing, beginning therapy with ease. I'll see y'all just directly, 22 minutes. I'll be right here. Got a few closing remarks for you. See you soon.
Well, hello, and welcome to our final Mental Health Monday moment. This week's title is From Hesitation to Healing, Beginning Therapy with Ease. All month long, we have covered varied topics, and today we want to tie a bow on them so that if any of our hearers have been out there and you feel like you need counseling or you know someone who needs counseling, we want to make sure that you know every step to take in order to get connected. So we want to take this journey together towards healing. And today we have 3 therapists with us with varied backgrounds and certainly a wealth of knowledge to help us to accomplish this goal. Today we have with us Nicosia Johnson-Johnson, who's a clinical therapist and CEO and founder of Visions of Wellness. We also have Joshua Lenox, who is a licensed clinical mental health counselor. And finally, we have Toni Kelly, who is a licensed clinical social worker and owner and CEO of Toni Kelly Counseling and Consulting. Thank you all for joining us on today to dive into this topic.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you so much. I know that God has deposited so much inside each and every one of you, and not only your experience, but your expertise can help us to speak to this topic today. So, kind of want to just dive in, right? Y'all ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
So I believe that all of us know in the climate that we're living in now, that the stigma to counseling has somewhat been broken. And so you see more people. I know y'all's books and calendars have been a little more full, and not a bad thing, right? Certainly great that we are experiencing that. But I think we also know that there are others who are out there who could certainly benefit from counseling and or therapy. So let's kind of talk about what are some of the reasons that you feel like people are not making the connection, even though they kind of feel like they could benefit from it. And whoever wants to dive in.
You want to take it first? Okay. Well, I think there are several themes that come to mind. For me, it's misinformation. They don't have all of the proper information to even know what to expect. Also, I think there's really not understanding that God doesn't want you to suffer and that you can be healed, And then I think also fear. I think that people in their childhood, some people have been sworn to secrecy, And so then as adults, they think everything needs to be a secret, And so they're ashamed. And some people, they don't reach out for help. And so those are some of the things that I think.
Sure. I kind of want to piggyback off what you said, Toni, which I think were great points. I think also on the last point you mentioned about fear, I think also it's a fear of the unknown.
Yes.
What am I getting myself into? What does this really mean? And I think also a stigma around that can be, am I going to therapy? And does that mean that I'm crazy? Does that mean that something's wrong with me? Does that mean that I'm defected or something of that nature, not knowing that every human being actually should be sitting across from someone who can hold a safe space for them. So I think also just not knowing what's to come through the process creates a level of fear and also resistance.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with all of that.
I think it's also judgment too.
That's good.
Not knowing if they'll be judged, and concerned about, here it is, this person I don't know, this unfamiliar face or the stranger telling me something about myself, how uncomfortable that space can be for that person. So
That's good. You know, a lot of times, of course, as I sit in this role as the associate pastor of congregational care, you know, they'll call the church and almost for confirmation, you know, or affirmation that, you know, it is time for counseling. But then sometimes, you know, even when you recommend that or you say, you know what, I think it is time at this point, they still sometimes kind of hesitate to make that call and kind of try to wait things out. So here's another question that surfaces from kind of where we already are in the conversation and just things that I've noticed, not being a counselor, but serving in this role. People kind of want to know, how do they assess when there is an actual need for therapy, right? Because people, I mean, all of us, we live in a broken world, you know, where chaos is everywhere, you know, so we're going to all have some, you know, trials and things that we have to deal with. But how do you move from, okay, this is normal for me to kind of feel, you know, the way that I'm feeling about things that I'm experiencing, to know this is, you know, the time for me to move from just this to seeking some therapy or some counseling.
If I could chime in really quick, ladies, I think one of the things is recognizing and having a level of self-awareness of knowing something has changed with me and I'm not quite sure where this started, and I might feel also that I'm not capable at the moment to walk this out by myself. So again, knowing that there's someone that's got to have a little bit more level of expertise, because we're all experts of ourselves, but then having someone who is a professional, someone who's licensed, who's been through rigorous training, to come alongside me and say, hey, can you point me in a direction, because right now maybe my direction is off with where my life is, and maybe I'm no longer as centered as I was.
Yeah, that makes me instantly think about quality of life.
Yes.
How are my relationships? You know, am I angry all the time? All of these different things. If your quality of life has diminished in some capacity, it's probably time to go speak to someone.
That's good. That's good.
yeah, I think about introspection, right? Being able to take an inner look. And like you mentioned, if there's something you're struggling with, you know, some days, like, you know, every one of us made it here today, right? But there's someone that has a hard time just allowing their feet to hit the floor in the morning. And so if you're noticing things about yourself, because who's the expert on you? Well, we know God is first, but then you, right? And so at that point, you know when things are going awry. And at that point, you should be like, well, maybe I could try this. And that's my thing. I feel like we're salesmen here today. Getting people to buy into the need just to talk to someone. But God created us to be here so you can have that one good person on earth to talk to.
No, I think that's great, you know, and not only, you know, I'll put you guys back in the hot seat, you are the salesman, but, you know, I think it is really healthy. You know, Mount Zion is a diverse church, but a majority of our congregants are African American. You know, so as we know that, you know, that's our demographic, that as people are listening in, we probably have more African American people who are listening in to these Mental Health Monday moments. So seeing faces that look like them and being able to speak to this topic and say it's okay for you to seek counseling. It's, completely normal and healthy for you to do that. I think that, if y'all are the salesman, they should be buying. Right?
Yeah, I would venture to say each of us have a therapist.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so we truly believe in it. We talk to someone on a consistent basis. It's important.
Now, if there was anything that was a great marketing tool, Toni, I think you just did it. When the therapist has a therapist, then you know that it is necessary. And it's so true. Myself, the same, because as much as I deal with people and try to meet their needs, I have to be able to go and pour somewhere so that somebody can meet me at my point of need. I think about this too because when congregants call in, sometimes they're not calling in for themselves. They're calling in for somebody in their family that they have noticed something may be off with them, So talk about how do individuals get loved ones connected? Because I think we all know that as adults, you cannot make anybody go to counseling, but the loved one feels so helpless when they cannot help their loved ones. So can we give people something to hold on to as far as charting out a path to helping the loved one that they know stands in need of something?
I can say I've gotten people to kind of look at possible, sometimes support groups, right? Sometimes we have to start on a small scale. They may not be ready to sit on that couch in the therapist's office, but maybe they'll sit amongst a group and listen. And so that might be helpful. But then I also, speaking to a family member who really know the need for that loved one, I usually tell them, maybe you can kind of say, hey, this would help me, right? Not so much on them, but it would help me. Like, I'm seeing this person. Why don't you join me for that session?
Yeah.
Right. Come have a seat with me, because it would. I love your support. Right. And once they hear and they see that it's nothing to really have that fear about, then that might be the buy-in.
Can we tag me? Okay. I think for me, the last point of what you mentioned, I think there's a level of something I call sensitive psychoeducation.
Yes.
So I think if we're going to gravitate to our lovely family members, and also being a tool ourselves.
Absolutely.
But why I say sensitive is because you do not want to present with judgment as we're going to our family members, even if it's someone who's aware of things that they're dealing with or they're not aware. Can I go to them in a soft way in being able to provide? There's something I think that you may, you may benefit from. Can I offer a few things to you? And again, you're completely open if you want to take this on or if not. So I say back to this, being very sensitive and mindful when approaching them, but also giving them some level of education on it and leaving that in their lap.
Yeah, I'm hearing communication and lived experience.
Yes.
Now is not the time to go, I saw this on Google. Like, no, no, that's what you don't want to present, but you definitely want to say, I think this may help. And here's how it's helping me.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
That's good. That's good because I've seen several experiences where people have wanted to, if they could have just, loaded them in the car and taking them to a counseling center or somewhere, because, anybody that you love, you want to see them at their best self. But that person also has to be willing. Right?
Yep.
So let's shift gears just a little bit. We want to, let's go Bible for a little bit. Y'all all right?
Yes.
Let's go to John 5, where Jesus encountered the man who was laying at the pool of Bethesda. And I believe it was 38 years that he had been laying there. And so, of course, when Jesus approached him, he asked him just one question. Do you want to be made whole? And as quickly as he responded to Jesus and giving Jesus all of these excuses about why he had not been able to get in the pool, Jesus quickly responded, right? Because Jesus is swift. Jesus said, I got to come back, though.
Yeah.
So I got to put the onus back on you. instead of you making all of these excuses, you got to do something. Sometimes instead of you waiting on me to heal you, you've got to do something in your own right. Take it up on yourself to participate in your own healing. So he said, take up your bed and follow me. So I want to talk about what are the steps that a person can take to put that responsibility on themselves? What should a person do? How do they even begin to choose a counselor? Do they, go on Google? Do they go on the Mount Zion website? Do they contact you guys? But what does it look like for them to choose a counselor? Do they talk to their HR department about a employee assistance program? Just tell us some of the things that could help a person get started if they have decided to make that step to begin.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many resources, but if you don't know, you don't know. And so there are provider directories like Psychology Today where you can search. There is your EAP through your, job-based insurance plans. There's word of mouth. All of those different things. But I would say the initial step is reaching out to one of those, or no, not one, several. And I say that because a lot of us as therapists are small business owners. So we're admin, we're billing, and we want to reach out to you, but, reach out to 3 or 5 of those and then schedule a consultation, a 15, 20-minute consultation. And they're going to ask you about your symptoms, and then they're going to say, well, here is how I could approach that. And then from there, if you want to schedule an intake appointment, you could, with them. But if not, if you want to go to the next consultation, do that. But that would be the beginning step, Anything else?
Just a link off of you kind of just did that just wonderfully. But just to add something, like you mentioned with Psychology Today, or things of that nature. But I also say, I almost said phone book. Look in the phone book. That does not exist anymore, y'all. But at the same time, I would say look up. You can Google.
Yes, Black therapists. Yes,
Black therapists.
CBT, all of those.
Yes,
things.
Or also just looking in. If you want to type in to be just minimal of saying therapists in my area, so that you look locally, because it could be one right around the corner. It could be somewhere right around by your job or anything of that nature. So, and then I would I very much so agree with Toni. You want to find multiple.
Yes.
You might not be locked in one, and again, try maybe 2 or 3 just to get a feel, because you might get locked into one, or you might get locked into another one, but you always have a choice. And I think that's another thing. When you're looking, don't feel like you found one place and then you just pigeonhole to that. You can look for several different places. So I would say that. Yeah,
because those first few sessions, you're assessing best fit. Are we a good fit for each other? And so if you feel like this is not a good fit, then hey, let's find you someone who would be a better fit.
Absolutely. Because your counselor, you can't just close your eyes blindly and just say, okay, I'm going to pick this one here, like pin the tail on the donkey. You want to find a counselor almost like you're looking for a hairstylist. And y'all know we don't let everybody fool with our hair. We want to make sure that counselor fits exactly what we need, that we're very comfortable with them. And again, that we don't mind going and sitting on their couch and knowing that we're going to have our needs met. Right?
Yes.
Go ahead,
I wanted to tell y'all, I'm about to burst because of what you just said, Pastor Catina, but I think it's like dating. In a sense, if you're going to go with someone on a date for the first time, you get to assess what you need. You might sit down with the date and say, I serve a better God than this, and you might walk out, you might leave. Or you may find someone say, I might give them another chance because I really enjoy it's in a relationship, it's an investment, and it's also you're building an alliance, you're building a bond, you're also working to build trust with somebody. So again, you're opening your life to someone who is a professional, but also can be very much so this is a stranger. So in some way, you're learning I've got to be open, honest, and vulnerable with someone I don't know. So that takes time. You have to build that relationship, but you get to choose to say, do I want to remain in this relationship that I'm starting off, or do I feel like might need to shift gears and go to the next, try someone else?
Self-advocacy. Yes, because we want to educate, equip, and empower. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. It's their right to come in and be able to say, we fit or we don't fit. and that we can honor that as well, because we want to see them get the best support that they need.
We do.
That's good. Y'all have been absolutely wonderful. We have just a couple of more minutes. And I would like for us to close out just by addressing just one last concern. Now they've found the counselor. They have gone in. They have received a treatment plan.
Yep.
Right? Everything's laid out, for them to be able to follow. How important is it for them to stick to that treatment plan? Because we know, again, well, let me just stop there because I know you guys are going to address it. How important, what's the impact of them being able to stick to that treatment plan?
I think it's a great impact. I would say in the same way that you would go to your medical doctor, for me, physical health and mental health are parallel. So if you're expected to follow recommendations, right? One of the things that I usually say is, look, I'm in this with you, right? We're going to hold it together. But I am not here for you to dump on for 60 minutes. If you cannot come in and do the work, because it will be work. People don't know therapy is work.
It's a lot of work.
And there will be assignments, and there are things for you to follow up on. And it's just like a doctor giving you a prescription and a plan. It's the same thing for me. So that's how I explain it.
It's an investment. You drove there, or you clicked on the telehealth link, or you paid your copay, or you paid your deductible. It's an investment. And your investment, you want a return on your investment. And so that really is, I tell my clients all the time, 85% of change happens outside. The 15% is what happens on this couch. But that other 85, if you're not putting in that 85, you're not going to get a return on your investment.
Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna mix both of y'all because we're working together, we're a team, right? I think from what you were saying too, I gather you have to put yourself in a position as you're being a client that I've got to be self-accountable. And sometimes that can be a tough thing because it's like, wait a minute, this is not all on my therapist. This is about me. When I come out of this room or I come off of this link, it's all on me because my counselor's not with me 24 hours a day, although you might hear our voices in your head at some point, but we're not with you. So I have to hold myself accountable, and maybe that can be tough because you're also dealing with layers of yourself that you're not even knowing about because you're learning about. To table what you said, Toni, I think it's important to realize that when we are just a facilitator. So again, the main work is all on you. And sometimes, you hear your clients say, I wouldn't be where I was without you. And it's like, that's nice. I'm glad that I could stay in this and walk with it, but this is all on you. So, and about being the investment, it's like knowing that this is like a life insurance thing. And this is something that is not just your mental health, but also it's something that's sustaining you during your life in a way that's taking you to an optimal level that you have not seen before. So I think that that's just important. So that was just,
Thank you.
Perfect. I think that this is a great way to close out this segment. You guys have laid out great information on how to choose a counselor, but also once you choose the counselor and the counselor that you decided to go with has given you a care plan, this is how you follow it so that you can go forward in the healing that God would have you to operate in. Thank you guys so much for joining us for this final segment. And so for those of you who have been listening in and are listening in on today, we thank you for joining us all month long for these Mental Health Monday moments. We are certainly not going to drop you off and leave you here. If you desire to connect with any of the therapists that have spoken to this topic on today, we are going to make sure that their information is put on the screen to make sure that you have some options even on today. And even beyond that, we also have some options on our Mount Zion website, mtzionnashville.org, under the Care tab, and then you would just click on Counseling and Crisis Services. So God bless you on today. God keep you until next time.
Well, what did y'all think about that? I know you were screaming, holding on to your seats. I know you were just like, this is so good. This is so much. But y'all, listen, it's just, You know what? Let me say, it was so much fun with these ladies, and we did this in one take. There were no mistakes, no stumbling. It was just immediate, just connectivity. We didn't have to rehearse anything. It just natural. We naturally flow with one another, and it was just so much fun. And just, I know I can speak for Nicosia and for Toni and for Pastor Catina that it was just an honor and privilege to be able to help others, to educate them, because a lot of times the Bible says the people perish before the lack of knowledge, the lack of knowledge. So sometimes it's just because we don't know. So we're seeing it as such a great importance that we were able to be used as vessels to educate and again impart new information into people, and maybe even revitalize some things for people who actually have had therapy before, or maybe who have stepped away from it or had thoughts of wanting to try that. So I hope that each of you got something out of each component that we explained or expressed. Also knowing that maybe if you don't have a therapist and you may be thinking about it, there's some things that you took away from that might get you wanting to go look up some things or ask some questions. And I think that would be amazing. Or maybe some of you who have a therapist already, or who have had a therapist previously, it kind of was a refresher. That's kind of something for you that's like, oh yeah, that's exactly how it goes. Or okay, that's helpful. Or maybe there's something I learned new on that. So I hope that you all enjoyed it. It was so much fun doing that. And again, this is what I mean about doing something new and different. I want to encourage each and every one of you. Everything that you're going to produce and you're going to do, it's not going to look like everybody else. And again, you got to be a little creative, okay? You kind of want to move around and try new things, experiment with new things, test out, play around with your gifts and talents, and just also your ideas. And so I'm really appreciative to be able to present this to you guys today as we close out the month of May. Y'all, this is the last Friday. I know y'all saying, Josh, you said that already, but I'm going to say it again. This is the last Friday of May. So we're closing out the mental health awareness month with that. And I think that was just so appropriate to do so. So I hope that all of you continue to have an amazing remainder of this Friday and enjoy your weekend. Y'all, June the 1st is right around the corner. It's a great and fresh new beginning that each and every one of us get in this 6th month of the year. We're going to halftime, y'all. Y'all ready? Are you ready? Get ready if you ain't ready. So I just want to say I love all of you all. I hope that you spread as much unity and love as possible. Be the peace that you need to see for other people, y'all. Even though you're not responsible to give peace to other people, but be that in your environment. You know, somebody might just approach you just because of what they're drawn to, the peace, the love, the joy that they see in you, that be so welcoming. So spread love as much as you can. And as I always tell you all, you've always been great. You're just getting better. You've always been great. You're just getting better. And if anybody argues that about you, you have them come see me, because I promise you they will be very convinced after I finish talking to them. But you all have a great one. I'll talk to you soon. Love you much. And I will see you next Friday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here. All right. Talk to y'all soon. Be careful. Bye.
Thanks for watching The Inspiration Station with Joshua Lenox. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.